If you've decided it's time to move on from your ex, then this video or podcast is for you. I'm going to tell you how to successfully detach from your ex and let go. So stay tuned. But first, welcome back, my beautiful no-contact army. Have you been a good little soldier? Well, if you have, then you've downloaded my app Silencio. And we now have a support button. So if you have any issues with the app, just hit the support button and email us, and we'll get back to you within 24 hours. And the link to Silencio is underneath every single video and podcast. And if you too would like to join our beautiful no contact army, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button and the bell notification, and you're in. And to read our manual, go to nocontactsecrets.com, where you can read 2 free chapters before you purchase the book. And also the link for that is underneath every video and podcast. So we can't discussing detaching and moving on until we first discuss closure. And someone left an amazing comment the other day regarding closure. And it says, closure is for people with abandonment issues. I don't need closure if I'm healed. I've closed whatever needs to be closed myself. And I totally agree. What a brilliant quote. Not everyone needs closure. People with a secure attachment and definitely avoidance do not need closure, because we just villainize you in our minds and then pretend you don't exist. And that's the closure. So if you have abandonment issues, that means you most likely have an anxious attachment style, and you're going to think you need closure in order to be able to move on. And I'm telling you right now, you do not. That's just going to make things worse because you're not going to get the closure you're looking for. And I've actually done a video on that topic, and I'll put the link in the upper right-hand corner on YouTube. Okay, so the first thing you have to do if you want to detach from your ex is to stop trying to not feel your feelings. It's exhausting fighting your emotions. And the word emotion, it breaks down to energy in motion. Emotion. And when you have emotion towards something or someone, there's a lot of energy around that, and it needs to go somewhere. It needs to express itself physically. That's why people cry, laugh, scream, yell, etc. And of course, also the opposite is true. If someone doesn't have emotion around a person, place, or thing, then that's where they are indifferent. There's no yelling, screaming, crying, laughing, etc. So if you're having trouble moving on from someone, it's because you're not letting the energy and motion fully move out of your body. That emotion wants to be felt, and it wants to be seen. And once it's felt and seen, it will leave. So accept that you still have feelings for them. Doesn't mean that you have to wait until all your feelings for them are gone before you detach. You need to help yourself by feeling the feelings, not beating yourself up for still having them, and that will help you to let the feelings go. Next, you are going to make a list. Yes, another list. This is going to be a list of all the bad things that happened in the relationship and all the things you do not like about your ex. And I want you to be very detailed. I want you to be very petty and write down every little thing. The time they didn't share their dessert with you even though they knew you wanted some. The time they kept you waiting for 30 minutes. The time it took them 8 hours to return your text and they never apologized or explained why it took them so long. Everything. And you're not going to do this all in one sitting. But once you start doing it, then you'll find that while you're doing other things, walking around, taking a shower, about to fall asleep, you're like, oh yeah, and then he did that, and then she did that, and then he said this. Where's my list? I got to add this. So this is an ongoing list that you keep adding to as you think of more things, because you're not going to think of everything in one sitting. And when you write things down, it forces you to look at the reality of the relationship instead of just ignoring everything and having rose-colored glasses on and being emotional about the person. This forces you to look logically instead of emotionally. And when people start thinking logically, that's the beginning of falling out of love. If someone you're dating, all of a sudden they're talking logically about the relationship, watch out. Watch out. They are falling out of love. Okay. And also, you're going to keep this list handy. And so it probably should be on your phone. Look at it every single day to remind yourself of why you're detaching and why you're moving on. And you're probably going to get angry while you're reading through it, which is good because that'll help you to detach and move on. And eventually, you're not going to have to read it every day because you'll be good. You'll have moved on. You'll have detached. And you'll even maybe be disgusted with yourself that you even considered wanting them back. Next, you are going to remove everything that reminds you of them. I didn't say delete or throw away. You can if you want to, but not everybody does. So put things away so that you do not get triggered and then want to reach out to your ex. And if it's photos, you don't have to delete them, but put them either in a separate album or in a whole separate app, in a photo vault or something, so that they're not there in your pictures every time you scroll through your pictures. And then finally, you need to find something to do with all the extra time you now have. There is now a void, a vacuum which needs to be filled. Do not sit around moping and crying and wasting your precious time. I mean, obviously you do that in the beginning to let the energy and motion move through. But at some point, you got to get on with things. Because if you don't, then you'll confuse being bored with missing your ex. So if you're just sitting around, you don't want to do anything, you'll be bored and you'll be like, oh, I miss them. No, you're bored and you need to do something. Or another way of coping that some people do is they'll jump into another dating situation or a relationship and then get triggered and then contact the ex. Now, of course, you know I always mention the gym. That's first and foremost. But now you have time to do all the things you weren't able to do during the relationship. So keep yourself busy, keep leveling up, keep improving yourself. I'm not going to give you a list here. You find your own list depending on what you want to do. But on that list of things to do to fill the time is the gym. For everybody. Everybody, get to the gym. Okay? So now I want to hear from you. Are you ready to detach from your ex and move on? Or are you still going to hang in there and stay in no contact for a while longer? Either way, it's fine. You can't detach and move on if you don't want to. Stay in no contact. But which one are you going to do? Comment below. And in the meantime, if you would like my help personally to get your ex back, you can contact me at theartoflove.net and we will send you the rates. They are not on the page. If you're listening to this as a podcast, please rate and review. If you're listening to this as a video, please subscribe and like if you liked the video. And then finally, remember, love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.